You ever hear something in an interview that makes you pause for a second, lean in, and think, wait, did they really just say that? That's exactly what happened when Bruce Willis's wife, Emma Heming Willis, recently made a comment about her husband that had people talking. She called him, "not that guy." And I know, at first, it sounds a little strange. You might even think it sounds negative. But here's the thing, it's actually one of the most touching, loving, and powerful things she's ever said about him. This isn't some tabloid scandal or celebrity drama. It's real life. It's love. And it's about a couple facing one of the hardest challenges anyone can imagine, together. Today, I want to walk you through exactly what she meant, why it's so meaningful, and how it tells us so much about who Bruce Willis really is, not just as a Hollywood star, but as a person. Bruce Willis. Yeah, the guy we've all seen dive through explosions, trade one-liners with bad guys, and save the day in movies like Die Hard, has been dealing with something completely different in real life. A fight that can't be solved with a stunt double or a perfectly timed movie punch. He's been diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia. It's a condition that affects how someone speaks, how they behave, and even how they connect with people they love. It changes so much, sometimes slowly, sometimes faster than anyone is ready for. And when news like that comes into your life, it's like the world tilts. Everything feels different. But here's the part that's going to make you see Bruce in a whole new way. Emma recently shared something about him that shows just how unique his spirit is. She said Bruce is not that guy. And by that, she meant, he's not the type to complain. He's not the type to feel sorry for himself. He's not the guy who's going to focus on what's been taken from him. Even with this huge change in his life, Bruce is still Bruce. That's rare, isn't it? Most people, honestly, a lot of us, might crumble a little in the face of something like that. We might lose patience. We might get bitter. We might spend days thinking about what's not fair. But Bruce? He doesn't do that. He's not that guy. Emma says that even now, with all the challenges this diagnosis brings, he's still full of dignity, humor, and kindness. He still finds joy in the little things. He still makes space for love in the middle of all this uncertainty. Think about that for a second. Imagine having the career Bruce had, the fame, the action-packed movie sets, the big roles, and then suddenly, life starts looking very different. And instead of letting it crush you, you keep going. You keep smiling. You keep being yourself. Emma has been incredibly open about what this journey has been like for their family. She talks about the reality, not sugarcoating it. She admits it's hard. She admits it's emotional. But she also talks about the beauty in it, the small, quiet moments that matter so much more than any Hollywood. She's his wife, but she's also his biggest supporter and advocate. And that's not just about being there physically, it's about making sure the world still sees him for who he really is. Not just a man with dementia. But Bruce Willis. The father. The husband. The friend. The man who has always lived with strength and warmth. There's something so deeply human about this, isn't there? When someone we love is going through a challenge, we're all faced with the same choice. We can either put all our attention on what's wrong, the parts that hurt, the things that have been lost, or we can make the conscious decision to hold on to what's still beautiful. We can choose to see the light in the middle of the darkness. And that's exactly what Emma Heming Willis has done. She has chosen to see Bruce for who he's always been, not just the version of him living with an illness. And honestly, that's something worth talking about. When experts in dementia care talk about how to best support someone going through this, one of the things they bring up over and over again is the importance of preserving a person's identity. It's not just about medical care. It's about emotional care, about protecting the parts of them that make them who they are. That means you don't let the illness become the only thing people see. You still talk to them like you always have. You still involve them in conversations, in activities, in everyday life. You still remind them, in ways big and small, that they matter, because they do. Every single day, they do. Emma's words are such a perfect, real-life example of this in action. She's not sugarcoating the situation. She's not pretending that everything is easy. But she is reminding the world that Bruce Willis isn't just a man with dementia. He's a husband. He's a dad. He's a friend. He's a man who has lived a life full of laughter, passion, and grit. And even now, he's still himself in so many ways. And that's such a powerful reminder for all of us. Because it's so easy, too easy, really, for a diagnosis to take over someone's identity in the eyes of others. We've all seen it happen. A person goes from being that neighbor who always helps you carry groceries, or that uncle who tells the funniest jokes, to just the guy with cancer, or the woman with Alzheimer's. The illness becomes the headline of their story. And when that happens, the other parts, the laughter, the quirks, the dreams, the memories, they get pushed to the background. The truth is, none of us want that. None of us want to be defined by the hardest thing we've been through. Think about yourself for a second. Imagine if the most difficult chapter of your life was the only thing people remembered about you. It wouldn't feel fair, right? You'd want them to remember the way you lived through it, not just that you went through it. That's what Emma's doing. She's telling the world that Bruce's story isn't only about his diagnosis, it's about how he's living with it. That's a huge difference. When she says, he's not that guy, she's not talking about some Hollywood role or action hero persona. She's talking about the way Bruce refuses to let this illness define his spirit. He's not the guy who complains all day. He's not the guy who gives up. He's not the guy who lets bitterness take over. Instead, he's the man who faces every day with a kind of quiet strength that speaks louder than any movie scene ever could. Experts say that when you're supporting someone with dementia, it helps to focus on the present instead of the past or the what-ifs. Why? Because the present is where the connection is. The present is where you can share smiles, touch hands, exchange looks, and feel love without needing words. Emma is living this truth every single day. They also say to celebrate the small victories. And that might sound cliché, but it's not. In fact, those little wins are what keep you going. A good day. A shared laugh. A moment where the person you love does something so familiar that it takes you right back to how things used to be. Those moments are priceless. Another thing experts emphasize is protecting dignity. That means speaking to the person, not over them. It means remembering that even if they can't express themselves like they used to, they still deserve respect. They still deserve to be treated like the whole, valuable human being they are. And love, above everything, needs to be kept front and center. Love is the glue in all of this. It's the thing that keeps you steady when the ground feels like it's shifting under your feet. That's exactly what Emma is doing. She's balancing the reality of the struggles with the beauty of the moments that keep them going. She talks about the laughter that still fills their home. The comfort of just being together, even in silence. The bond they share that doesn't fade just because life has changed. Her words make you realize that resilience isn't always about making grand gestures or being loud and brave in a dramatic way. Sometimes, resilience is quiet. It's the decision to keep showing up as yourself every day, no matter what's happening. It's choosing to hold on to joy where you can find it. When you hear about how Bruce is handling all this, it makes you think about the people in your own life. The ones you've seen go through something tough. Maybe it was an illness, maybe it was grief, maybe it was just one of those seasons of life where everything feels like it's falling apart. And you remember how they handled it. How sometimes, without even realizing it, they showed incredible strength just by continuing to be themselves. Bruce's story is a powerful reminder that life can change everything around you without changing who you are inside. And Emma's love shows us that when you really know someone, when you've seen all sides of them, You look past the labels, the struggles, the medical terms. You see the person. Always. So I'll ask you this: what's one thing you've learned about someone you love that made you see them differently? Maybe you saw a strength in them you didn't know was there. Maybe you saw a softer, more vulnerable side. Maybe you just realized how deeply they love you. Those are the moments that stay with us. And if you're listening to this right now and going through something hard, whether it's with your health, your family, your work, or anything else, maybe you can take a little inspiration from Bruce and Emma. Try to focus on the now. Look for the small moments worth keeping close. And remind yourself, over and over, that what you're going through does not erase who you are. You're still you. And that's worth holding on to. If this story has touched you even a little, I think you might love hearing more about the side of Hollywood we don't always see. Not the red carpets, not the premieres, but the real-life human moments behind the scenes. I've shared another story that I think will completely change the way you look at celebrity life. It's one that proves that no matter how famous someone is, they're still just human at the core. You can watch that next. And hey, if this story resonated with you, if it made you think about someone you love or about your own strength, go ahead and hit that like button. That way, more people can hear this and maybe get the reminder they need. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next story we share here. And maybe send this video to someone who's going through a hard time, so they know they're not alone. Because in a world where so much is built on gossip and headlines, it's these kinds of stories, about love, resilience, and holding on to who we are, that remind us what really matters. And those are the stories worth sharing.